Middle game, after black extends with a knight's move at the top, the position becomes complex. At this point, almost all the big points on the board have been taken by both sides. Next comes the battle of frameworks, invasions, and reductions. We have clearly entered the middle game fighting. White now faces a choice of direction. One is to continue enclosing territory at the top, and the other is to invade the 3-3 point in the corner, destroying black's territory there. In the actual game, white chose to invade the corner to destroy black's points. Here, we can guess why white didn't choose to continue enclosing territory on the outside. First, if white encloses the outside, black won't defend inside the corner. Because if black defends, white's second-line knight's move becomes a centi gain. Black would block, making the crawl huge in value. We see that white takes a centi profit and then plays another big point. White would be satisfied with this. Why? Because in this situation, white could also make this forcing exchange. But note, if this exchange is made, when white later invades the 3-3 point, the survival space is significantly smaller, and the white stones in the corner become much more dangerous. So, white cannot just casually make this exchange on the outside. When white plays the knight's move, if black defends the territory, white gets a centi profit, which black cannot accept. So, when white encloses the outside, black is more likely to follow suit and enclose territory as well. While both sides are mutually enclosing territory, white likely judges that the exchange of these four moves is not profitable for white, because after the exchange, when white invades the 3-3, black has 2 extra stones, which implicitly form a blockade affecting white's upper right corner. We know human calculation cannot compare to computers. Humans can't match the precision of AI calculation. So we have to rely more on judgment when playing. On the surface, these 2 stones indeed affect the battle in the upper right corner. So in the game, white likely considered this and didn't exchange in the center, choosing instead the simpler approach of playing directly in the corner. Usually there are 2 ways to play in the corner, the 3-3 invasion or the attachment. But considering black has more stones on the outside now, the attachment strategy would put white under more pressure. So white chose the 3-3 invasion, which is the simpler way to play. Black blocks from the wider side and white crawls. These 2 exchanges are inevitable. Next, black faces a choice of direction. In the game, black chose the second-line Hain, which is the correct move. Usually, we might think blocking from the outside to seal white in the corner is the simpler way. If white connects and lives in the corner, and black takes centi, to grab the king of the hill point for the framework, black should be satisfied. But pay attention, white has a brilliant move here, a tiger's mouth on the second line to start a KO. Look at black's group in the upper left. White actually has KO threats there, and white is very thick globally. So starting a KO now is clearly advantageous for white. If black takes the KO and white finishes it, the trade clearly gives white more points. If black answers the KO threat and white recaptures, we see black doesn't have any good KO threats. So for black to start the KO directly is not favorable. We might think, if the KO is bad, I'll just fix the shape and not fight the KO. But if black fixes on the outside, white won't just live in the corner. White will play elsewhere to take the critical point outside. We see that after white's exchange in the corner, black can no longer secure the territory with one move. If black starts the KO later, white is lighter. Why? because black has already spent a move outside. White can find KO threats more easily. Black clearly cannot be satisfied with this. So this area looks simple, but it is a trap. If black plays with habitual thinking, they will fall into a disadvantageous position. In the game, black's second line, Hein, was the correct direction, driving white towards the left into the thicker stones. When black hangs, white attaches to reserve variations. Black is soft at the top, so black doesn't necessarily dare to hang on the second line. If black hangs on the second line, white tigers out, exposing a weakness in black's shape. Black isn't confident in this variation. So when black hangs, white chooses to attach. Attaching is a way to keep options open. If white simply hangs in the corner, it would force black to become solid and thick on top, so white chose the single attachment. Now if black hangs on the second line, white can tiger out. This exposes the soft head weakness in black's shape I mentioned. So in the game, black chose to play from the top. We should say black's direction of play is correct. However, looking at it with AI, this extension is a slight error. The correct move should be to hang here. After black hangs, white has roughly two choices. One is to hang and then descend. Black must block here. He can't block the other way due to the cut. After black blocks, white can choose to play elsewhere. White's diagonal move now is the biggest point on the board. If black later hangs to try and kill white, white jumps out, it becomes a complex fight. If black hangs, white can forcibly Atari and crawl to connect. This is a way for white to live later. Of course, black doesn't have to hang on the second line. Black can tiger, letting white descend as a sente exchange, erasing white's potential territory there. If white wants to play safely, he can turn here. If black tigers down, white extends and then attaches, living cleanly. A better move for black is to tiger here. White extends in sente, and black turns to fix the shape. This is likely the correct sequence for both sides locally. As mentioned, if white doesn't play the correct move, white can connect, but connecting loses more. Black can connect here. White still hangs to live. White descends, and black turns to block. In this variation, black gains more than before. So black's correct move was to hang. The extension was correct in direction, but it left a hidden danger of a push. When white actually pushes through, black firstly cannot trade by capturing the corner. That is a clear loss in points. Secondly, black doesn't dare to hang on the second line to eat white. There is risk after white jumps out. Black doesn't dare to capture white. White can also choose to hang first, exchange, and then jump out. Black doesn't dare to do this. Since the trade from pushing isn't good, and black doesn't dare to hold to forcibly kill white, black has to calmly block back. If he hangs on top, he gets pushed to death by white. That trade would give white too many points on the left, clearly favoring white, so black chose to block here. White descends first. After the descent, squeezing through and hanging over become Miai. White has successfully lived in the corner. In the game, black chose to tiger using AI judgment. We see that pushing and extending was worth more. then Atari and turn. But this judgment is very subtle. In a real game, it is hard for a human brain to calculate precisely enough to conclude this variation is better. Psychologically, Black probably thought that if he extended and let White squeeze through, White would be very satisfied with the points on the left. White not only destroyed Black's corner, but also made his own territory. So from a psychological angle,
Black chose the tiger move in the game.
Thinking even if I let you live in the corner, I will destroy your points on the left. This was likely Black's goal when choosing the second line Hain initially. White Hains, Black connects up to here. White has achieved some success locally. Next, considering that White seems satisfied with the result, White played a descent. This descent is actually a bit slow. White had a simpler move, to Hain here. White Hains here to test how Black responds. Black actually has three choices: descend, Hain, or Hain here. Actually, from White's perspective, he definitely fears Black haining in the corner to kill him. Because whether Black descends or hains, White clearly gains. For example, if Black hains, White can Atari here first, right? Then go back to live. White is clearly satisfied. Similarly, if Black descends, White gets the Hain exchange before living. White clearly profits. So he worries about Black trying to kill the corner. Using AI, we see White just Ataris. Black blocks, White captures, and then extends out. Because White can monkey jump here later, and the top is Sente, the fighting potential on the right side is actually very bad for Black. Black cannot easily kill White, so this diagram is actually White's Severus response. In the game, White likely felt he had the advantage, so he didn't play the most ruthless move, choosing instead to calmly live. Black Hains, after Black Hains, we see that for White to Hain again is gold. Even if Black plays later, he will cut directly, so the situation has eased for Black. After this local sequence concluded, the global situation entered a stalemate again. With the upper right corner settled, the focal point clearly shifted to the bottom. Since the bottom is the most open area on the board, White immediately played a pincer. We should say this pincer has some issues using AI. We find the correct move is the diagonal attachment. It is very practical. After the kick, if Black extends, White has two choices: continue to pincer Black at the bottom, or secure the Hain at the top. The value of this Hain is still huge. It is a very practical move. In the game, White played a one-space pincer at the bottom. The problem is that Black's point move here is very comfortable. This point is a technique and joseki we humans often play. If White blocks, Black attaches in the corner. White Hains, Black tigers, because of the point exchange. White cannot scoop out the base from above. If played this way, we see the exchange of Black's point and White's bump. It's extremely profitable for Black, so White has to connect unconditionally. Then Black descends. We see Black's shape is too comfortable. Not only does he have eye space below, but after the point exchange, Black's access to the center is also very open. If it went like this, Black would be clearly better than in the actual game. In the game, Black might have considered that White would counter-attack. When White counters, Black actually has two ways to play. One is to trade, each capturing a stone. Black haining is a clever timing to probe. White doesn't dare to extend. With AI, we see if he extends. Black connects. This fight favors black because black has a second line point later. White cannot effectively attack black here, so white would likely capture here. Black gets a Senti Atari, which is very comfortable. Next, black can consider fixing here or more aggressively here. If this trade happens, black should be completely satisfied. If black doesn't like the trade, extending out is also fine. White blocks, black extends. This is a Senti profit. Then black can consider playing here or more aggressively here, putting pressure on white at the bottom, making black thick. If black chooses this, there's no problem. It is interesting that we humans used to love this bump. But AI shows that exchanging the bump for white's extension is a loss for black. So AI recommends just blocking or extending. In summary, black should have chosen the point move. It is more active and effective. In the game, black chose the attach and double hin. This is a steadier approach, as we can see. This game is crucial for both sides, so they are playing cautiously. Also, from Mr. Nie's perspective, white's descent in the upper right felt a bit weak in spirit. So black probably felt the result in the upper right was quite good. Thus, black chose a relatively steady move in the bottom right. Black didn't tiger because white would Atari. Black might have felt his shape was a bit thin, so he didn't choose it. That variation is usually considered good for white. So black attached and double hand to live simply. White Atari'd and then chose to connect. This move is huge. Although turning on the outside seals black in, it ends in goat at this moment. Black could choose to play elsewhere immediately, or bump to exchange before playing elsewhere. Black has both options. White likely felt that, although ceiling is thick, it makes no points, so the efficiency is low. So in the game, white chose the more practical move, connecting solidly. After white connects, if black pushes out, white would likely play the diagonal move and jump to attack black. Or rather, to take territory while attacking. That should be white's goal. So when white connected, black chose to bump. This is also a steady move. The benefit of bumping is if white plays down descending or hinning and tigering to stop black from living, black jumps out. Getting out this way is faster than pushing. Normally, white would still extend up. Then black chose to jump. This is an active move, not just trying to live directly. Before living, he lets white cut, so black can gain a Senti Atari. We call this a transition move. After black jumped, white chose to exchange the point, move first, then cut. Black pushed, Atari'd, and then lived. A small fight occurred in the bottom, right. So far, this battle has concluded. Next, white chose to defend with a diagonal move. White's diagonal move looks like an ordinary defensive move. But unexpectedly, according to AI, this diagonal move is problematic. In the game, black chose to tiger, a huge move, forcing white to defend. Next, the move recommended by AI is an earth-shattering one, capping directly at this position. Black did play this point later, very soon, but playing it directly now seems to have more impact. We usually feel white stones at the bottom are quite thick. Because the descent is senti, although the diagonal move isn't senti if black attacks. White's diagonal move ensures a way home, so black capping on top of white's thickness is visually shocking. Then, analyzing further with AI, we discover the brilliance of this move. When black caps, white has two counterattacks, pushing out or attaching out. Black handles these two counters differently. Here, we see the attachment. Black simply blocks, white extends, black tigers, choosing a forceful fight, head-on. After black fights head-on, we see white hasn't settled either the bottom or the top groups. So black doesn't fear this fight at all. Now let's look at the push and cut. Pushing and cutting might be white's first instinct, because when white cuts, there is an Atari here and a ladder here. It looks like black is about to collapse. But AI shows powerful judgment here. This cap is actually preparation for a sacrifice strategy. If white chooses to break out here, black blocks and isn't afraid. Black doesn't fear this fight. If white chooses to extend here, black continues to press. If we play it out, we find black eventually pushes into white's territory on the left. And as black gets thick, black's potential at the top grows. If white hangs, looking tougher, black utteries and calmly connects. White must turn here. The value is huge. Then black plays a senti point. White can't connect or black runs out. So white must bump. Black calmly extends. According to AI, this diagram gives black a significant gain. Honestly, I really admire the AI's thinking here, because the capping move at the top is truly impactful. Our judgment of white's position here is that white is thick, right? So black might think, for example, to fly out, like in the game, to take points. Or maybe choose to calmly turn and make himself thick. But the move AI suggests is highly efficient. It forces white to eat the black stones using a sacrifice strategy. This is truly refreshing, a strategy we can definitely learn from. As mentioned, white's diagonal move was a careless mistake. It lost points. White's correct move was to Atari and push. This is clearly thicker in shape. Black jumps. White attaches to gain profit. Black's Severus move is the wedge and connect, aiming at the second line knight's move, threatening white's life. So white must defend. Black Ataris. White calmly Ataris. Black takes. White connects. This is the correct way for white, according to AI, although white sacrifices one stone. After turning, Ataring, and connecting, white has a hard head. White can better support the territory on the left. According to AI, this diagram is white's best choice. Okay, back to the game. White chose the diagonal move, which is problematic. Black tigers. After black tigers, white exchanged the point move first. These two exchanges didn't really profit white. Then, white calmly defended. Next, as I emphasized, the AI's top choice was the capping move. Sacrificing stones here in the game, black chose a steadier move, flying out here to grab points. If black turns, white flies down and makes points at the bottom. So this fly is a very practical move. Since black didn't defend on the right, white inevitably attaches to counterattack. This brings another urgent situation. Black's choice here will directly affect the future of the game. After white attaches, a battle forms again locally. The game has entered a heated stage. In the game, black's play here actually had some issues. First, black played a point move. This exchange wasn't profitable. Next, black hand and then capped here. This is a very spirited move. A move with great feeling, but looking at the result, it wasn't profitable. Let's look at the game result first. After black flew, white responded very calmly. White simply flew to maintain connection and pressure. Black chose the diagonal move. White calmly retreated. Black bumped white hand. Black turned. White has formed a living shape at the bottom. Then white calmly flew to take a centi profit. Considering white is already alive and very thick, black calmly connected. Then white chose to descend. Why descend? Because this move is huge. If black artery is here, white must connect. Then white only has 3 points of territory here. Black clearly gains many points, but after white descends, we see white goes from 3 points to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About 7 or 8 points. Plus, there is the large monkey jump on the first line later, so as a reverse centi move, the value is enormous. White clearly feels he has gained in this local exchange. So he calmly descended. After this local sequence, the situation has clearly turned in white's favor. Why, if we analyze calmly, we find black gained almost nothing in this area. White not only got points at the bottom, but also got out, and before leaving, he got a centi fly in. We can say black played all neutral points here without gaining anything. Black might have had some illusion of advantage. Let's look at black's correct play. The point move wasn't necessarily profitable. Although not profitable, it wasn't a fatal error. The hole-in and cap looked very spirited. But the hand was problematic. The correct move was to calmly jump after black jumps. The ball is in white's court. White has roughly 3 choices: bump here, extend, or defend at the bottom. First, if white defends at the bottom, black has a good move, the knight's move. By playing this, black has trapped white inside. We can see white's attempt to break out. Doesn't work. He is netted. So once black nets white, the urgent problem is solved, and black is connected. If white extends, it looks like the fiercest move. I extend, then I defend below. But black has a good diagonal move. This is something only AI sees. A very severe move, aiming to hang down. If white extends here to defend, black can hang and connect. This is very painful for white. If played here, black has the hang, and later the diagonal extension to connect underneath. So white's shape is very uncomfortable, with defects and point losses. If white bumps, black has a good hang. Hanging creates a very severe cold threat. And there is also an extension. If black extends, white is not alive locally. If white blocks here, black can hang. This is also very difficult for white. If he captures, black pushes through. If white hangs here, black wedges to start a call immediately. It is very severe. White arteries to start the KO, and black has KO threats. Normally, a trade occurs, and it is clearly better for black. Black eats efficiently, while what white eats carries risk, so clearly black is better here too. We see black's diagonal move is very severe. That leaves white's bumping move. But if white bumps, there is still a hidden danger of being caught later. Black flying now is a simple move. Black's shape looks thin here, right? But white must be careful. If white simply flies, black can actually push and cut to sacrifice. White must push. Then black has a good hang. If you capture, he can retreat white suddenly falls into a difficult position. The diagram given by AI is very powerful. If white wants to prevent the cut, he needs to attach here. Black simply hangs and jumps. This is huge. If white wants to get out and gain points, once black bumps, black can push and hang. Push here first, then push and hang here. Very severe. If white blocks on the right, black cuts. These 4 stones face capture. If white saves the 4 stones, the whole group isn't alive, and he has lost a ton of points. This diagram is very tough for white. Looking back, black's jump calmly, retreating to advance, was actually the Severus choice. In reality, frankly, human thinking cannot be this comprehensive, so from black's perspective, he played very spiritedly to connect, but this connection came at a price. After white calmly lived, the situation clearly favored white again. White has a clear advantage. After white took a big endgame point at the bottom, black chose to invade white's territory, or framework, from the left. At this point, white has the territory advantage and is the thicker side. We can say white's advantage is obvious. Next, white chose to hang. This move is huge. Actually, using AI white's turn seems to be the steadier move. Mainly because this turn fixes the thinness on the right. If black extends, white pushes, black extends. Now white has 2 extra exchanges before hanging. This exchange is clearly profitable. Because on the right, if black hangs and blocks, there is an Atari. Black Ataris, white connects. Black cannot run back. If black tigers, when white turns, white can calmly descend. This is a subtle potential issue, which we'll mention later. If white turns directly, it is what black considers the steadiest move. In the game, white chose to grab more profit. The hang looks to be the biggest. White hangs and black obviously continues to step into white's territory on the left. Black's point of entry is very deep. Clearly, Mr. Nie realized his position wasn't very favorable, so he chose the most intense approach. Actually, white can counter-attack here. White can point here to counter. White is very thick here, so black can only block. Then white bumps and cuts, simply capturing this stone. Although the territory here shrinks, this way is relatively safe for white, securing the points in the game. White didn't choose such a direct move. Maybe white thought eating the points wasn't profitable enough. So white chose to jump, aiming to cut black off. Next, black forcibly bumped to fix the cutting point, and white took a centi profit. Up to this point, white still has a clear advantage. Next, white's second line, fly to connect, clearly shows white feels he has a strong lead. Looking back, white definitely should have jumped out to continue threatening black. After white jumps, black would likely attach on top. White calmly hangs, black extends. White calmly connects. If black turns, white turns too. We see that once white gets out and connects to the right, he doesn't need to connect underneath on the second line because connecting there isn't profitable. After black hangs and connects, white's connection there is actually bad in terms of points, even a loss. So if white connects proudly from the top, black is in danger because white's connection is a threat to black. Now white descends here. The value white gets is clearly superior to the actual game. Some players might notice black can attach and cut. This is a fierce move. If black cuts, white can choose a very light way to play, push once. and black can hardly resist. Why? Because after white connects on the second line, we see black is cut off on the outside, while white has a backdoor on the second line. So white clearly went soft here. He should have forcefully jumped out to threaten black. If played like that, the game would be a simple win for white. In the game, white flew on the second line, and black jumped back. Black unknowingly caught up a lot. Next, white continued with the plan to gather points. Atari. Jump, these are all senti endgame moves for white. Then white tigered down to here. The game has gradually entered the endgame phase. Next is the battle of endgame counting in the second half. It depends on who is stronger in this aspect.